Hey guys, Aiden and Dale here. We are back with a bike review. This is his bike. It's the YZ250FX. So go ahead and tell them a little about what we're doing in this video.
Yeah, so we kind of, in one of the other videos, mentioned about doing a review on my bike.
Yep.
And we're waiting on some parts for the motor, and you guys will see that later. But this is a 2020 YZ250FX. One of the main differences over this than their motocross, which is the YZ250F, is that it is their trail version, basically. It's going to have the 18-inch rear wheel rather than a 19. It's got an O-ring chain, and it's got the skid plate. So and the bigger thing is the kickstand. The F may have a skid plate on it, I can't remember, but it wouldn't, of course, have a kickstand on a motocross bike.
All right, so we're going to dive into this bike and kind of show you up close some parts, some accessories that he's added, and we're going to show you cons and pros to this bike that he's found after riding it for a while. And as well as what I think compared to the bike that I ride, which is the 2006 CRF250R.
Yeah, and before we bring the camera in on some of these parts, one of the first things I'm going to talk about a con, something that I don't like about the bike, is it's heavy. It is almost 250 pounds.
Yep.
Wet. I mean, so it's, and to me, in my trail riding and stuff, I've put this bike down plenty of times, and I'm not a real big guy. I like to think I'm strong, but anyway, you would beg to differ, I'm sure. Picking this up 2 or 3 times, it wears you out.
Yeah, and compared to my bike, to give you some reference, this is, like he said, about 250 pounds wet. Mine is about 210 pounds wet. So you take a 40-pound difference on the trails, that's a lot of weight to pick up. You're gonna get a lot more tired, a lot more quicker.
Another con about this bike is, being that it's basically the same motor as the motocross bike, even though it's a 4-stroke, it does foul plugs. My first ride out on it, I was just getting used to it, and I was putting around thinking, hey, it's a 4-stroke, I don't have to worry about that. But it does foul plugs. I even had to replace the battery because the way it's electric start, no kick start on it. Some people don't like that because they like to have that backup. But I had to replace the battery because the factory battery just sucks, actually. So I replaced the battery on it. One other big con with the YZ250FX is the height.
Keep in mind, he's shorter than probably the average person riding a bike. I mean, he's 5'8", I'm 5'9", so I can't really say much either. But
are you taller than me?
I am taller than you.
Oh,
so keep that in mind as he goes through this. But for any of you who are under 6 foot, this will probably apply to you.
With that, I did put a lowering link on it to get a little bit lower, and then after that, setting the sag helped me. Got it, to where now my tippy toes touch, and I'm almost on the balls of my feet. Before, I literally was rocking on my tippy toes. You can get seats that are lowered. This year they didn't have that available for me now, but some people have even cut them out and put seat covers on them. But I just let the seat stop. Now, a few pros to this bike, especially straight out of the factory. One thing they did really good on is where they put the air cleaner. It's right up here in front of the fuel tank, so you don't get the issues with the dust like you do on some bikes. So the air filter being in this position, it is away from the dust. Some bikes like your Aiden's CRF will have it back in the back, and you get so much dust thrown up in there. So this was a really good design, I believe, from Yamaha. Now I'm going to talk about some of the pros that are some necessary, in my opinion, some necessary additions I made to this bike, or some customization. As I already mentioned, I put the lowering link on there. We'll get you a picture of that here in a little bit, but it's these hand guards. I did full wraparound hand guards. I know some guys don't like that, but the full wraparound hand guards have saved me numerous times. I've hit plenty of trees. Another thing that I really love, is probably one of my most favorite additions to this bike, are the ASV clutch and brake levers, and I put the shorties on there. The adjustability of them, the smoothness of them, and of course I love the pretty blue. And then a couple fun features I put, I wouldn't say that they're necessities. The shifter, I did put the shifter on there by Tusk. And if Aiden wants to go around the other side, this is one thing that I would recommend, is the brake pedal. Very inexpensive, but just the way it works and stopping it from breaking. It does have a cable that you can put onto it to stop it from coming up. The other thing I did, you'll notice I put the return spring different, and that really makes it to where you can feel and it comes back up rather than the spring that's on the bottom. And after the brake pedal, you'll notice my foot pegs. These are the Air Extreme ankle savers, and I tell you what, I would not go any different. I would buy them all over again, and they are so great, especially like I said, if you're worried about your ankles or anything. This lower portion here, if you were to come down on it hard, it really stops your foot. Now another fun, I know I was going to talk about some pros now on this bike, but some just fun things that I did with it are the steg pegs. These really, your boot, the back of your boot rides here up on around the, what is that, your calf?
Yeah.
And so, because in the trails you're standing a lot, and this really helps take a lot of that arm pump away, because you're really able to use your calves to rest on. And literally with this bike, when you have that, and when you're riding correctly, you should be on the balls of your feet, pinching here, and you can see how that would be on my boot. I can, right here, I could ride like this, no hands, and it's just comfortable. And so a lot of guys, when you don't have this, I would get really tired because I'd be up here like this, and I'd be holding so much with my arms, and you get that arm pump and your arms would get tired. But I could ride like, I barely have to grip now with these steg pegs. One thing I've already done on this bike is replace the radiators. Not that the other ones were bad, but I had an accident with it and I crushed one side, so I replaced both of the radiators, and I put the aluminum billet radiator guards on. That is one thing, most of these have the plastic radiator guards. They're not going to do anything to you, so I'm hoping that the money I invested on those radiator guards will prevent me from having to do the radiator again. Along with the radiator guards, you'll notice that I put new radiator hoses, and they're the Tusk Racing. They're higher quality, they hold up to the higher pressure, because I did put a high pressure cap on the radiator. It's a 1.8 rather than the stock 1.1. Okay, another fun add-on, I put the Pro Circuit T6 exhaust, if you want to take a look at it under there, Aiden. Now that is just the muffler section. I didn't do the whole exhaust on this, just the muffler. I like the sound that it has. It's a decent sound. I really do like the sound of my Pro Circuit that I put on this for the exhaust, but I will admit that I do like the FMF a little better. I think it sounds better. One of my buddies put that on his bike, and the sound is, I believe it's a little deeper, throatier sound, and I prefer that, but I still do like this exhaust. I tried to keep it short and sweet. There are a lot of things I love about this bike, a few things that I don't love so much. Well, son, how'd I do?
Did pretty good. Still like my bike better, but this is an amazing bike. For me, the biggest con I just have is everything's great about it. It's too heavy. I can't handle the weight. I like a lighter bike. Thank you guys for watching. For those of you that have a YZ250FX, leave comments below telling us what you like best about your bike. Next time we go riding, we'll kind of pay attention to what you say and see if we notice those things, or at least him, because he's the one riding it. I'll be riding my CRF250R when it's done. So yeah, anything you got?
Yeah, no, I just want to say we're not experts. So if I may even said something wrong on this bike, but you know what, I would love to hear about it in the comments. Correct me if I was mistaken on some of the differences. Yep. and stuff. But other than that, I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, make sure you subscribe.
Yeah, please do.
Follow along for what we post next.